Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining our special edition Super Bowl 55 coverage right here on WNCT.com. I'm your host again this weekend, Kelsey O'Donnell, inside the digital studio. The Kansas City Chiefs and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are set to kick off at 6:30 p.m. on Sunday on CBS for Super Bowl 55. But how much do you know about each individual team or the players that make up the team? Now, I'm not talking just about the quarterbacks, Tom Brady for the Bucs or Patrick Mahomes for the Chiefs. I'm talking about these other players that make these teams improve and get to the Super Bowl, which you are about to see a tremendous amount of talent that will step out on the field on Sunday. During this segment, we are going to take a look at two separate players, one from each team, and how they got where they are today. Our first player is Tampa Bay Bucs linebacker Devin White. Only 22 years old, he was drafted in 2019 as the 5th overall pick out of LSU to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but his football career didn't begin just there.
Let's take you to Spring Hill, Louisiana. The year is 2015, and one high school athlete is taking the area by storm. He rushed for over 5,000 career yards and 81 touchdowns. It wasn't long before every major college football program in the country came calling for the kid from Spring Hill. He was only interested in one, though, the flagship school of his home state. LSU.
I feel like, if I want to win, and I show those guys I want to win, then they're going to want to win as well.
286 career tackles, 28.5 tackles for loss, 4 forced fumbles. The 2018 Dick Butkus Award winner.
We're not going to find another Devin in 10 years from now. Like, he's rare. God took his time when he made him, and I'm really appreciative of that because you don't find too many linebackers running 4.42 at 240 pounds, jumping 40-inch vertical. Like, everything that I do, I feel like, I'm the only person that can do that.
God-given ability paired with an outstanding work ethic. The consensus 2018 All-American linebacker soon became a top 5 draft pick. Drafted by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
I just ask everybody, if you're a New Orleans Saints fan, just cheer for me. You don't have to cheer for the team, just cheer for me.
It didn't take long for the kid from Spring Hill to make an impact in the NFL. His rookie year, he made 91 total tackles and returned 2 fumble recoveries for touchdowns. In 2020, he's been even better, nabbing 140 tackles, 9 sacks, 15 tackles for loss. This kid from Spring Hill, named to the NFL All-Pro second team. He has his team on the cusp of NFL glory. His name is Devin White, and he's the pride of Spring Hill, Louisiana.
Devin White making his hometown of Spring Hill, Louisiana proud. Now, turning to the Kansas City Chiefs, we all know about the kid, Patrick Mahomes, and his rising stardom. But how much do you know about Ohio native Travis Kelce?
The journey for Kansas City Chiefs tight end Travis Kelce begins here as an 8th grader at Roxborough Middle School in Cleveland Heights, Ohio.
He was definitely on the radar right away. Definitely on the radar.
The younger brother of the eventual Philadelphia Eagles Pro Bowl center Jason Kelce. Travis's coach knew his potential from the start. Mike Jones coached him through his junior year.
He was the best player on the field, so we put him at quarterback. But that was his first love, was quarterback. But he wanted to catch the ball, and I said, hey, if we could figure out how you could throw it and catch it yourself, we would. But that's a tough thing to do.
Kelce's senior year, coach Jeff Rotsky remembers his first impression.
I got you, Travis.
One word. Wow. I've never seen a kid 6'6", 230 pounds at the time, run, jump, and have ball skills, even though he was a quarterback. I've never seen anything like it before.
Kelce started football as a high school freshman, but his coaches say that was not his first love.
We don't push kids from one way to the other, but basketball was his love. I mean, he played above football.
He's the only athlete I've ever had that could have been Division I football, Division I basketball, Division I baseball. That's how good he was. And ready for this? He was a great hockey player growing up.
It was on the football field, however, where he shined, passing for 1,523 yards as a senior, averaging 152 yards per game in the air, while rushing for an average of 101 yards per game.
He had the ability to run around you, but he had a nasty side. This was the Jason Kelce side of Travis. He ran, I mean, he knocked this guy. I mean, I don't think this kid I think he would never want to tackle him again.
His professional jersey, now an inspiration for others, hanging in his high school alongside his brothers.
Jason Kelce played at the University of Cincinnati, and then with the Eagles, and then you have Travis here. That played at the University of Cincinnati also.
Travis was the biggest layup to me for being in the NFL. I also told Trav, by the way, I know you're going as a quarterback, but you're going to be playing tight end, so you better get ready for that.
Drafted by the Kansas City Chiefs in the 3rd round of the 2013 draft, Kelce has already been a 6-time Pro Bowler. But even with all of his success, he has not forgotten where he came from.
I know it sounds cliche, but I promise you, every single thing that I do out there, when you see me dancing in the end zone, that's Cleveland Heights for you right there.
But he gives back, and he cares about where he came from. He loves Cleveland Heights. As you can see on Sunday nights or when they're on prime time, he always says, Travis Kelce, Cleveland Heights High School,
All right, 2 powerhouse players, Devin White and Travis Kelce, will represent either team on either side of the field with one goal in mind, bringing home that coveted Lombardi Trophy, something that the Chiefs are pretty familiar with. So I do want to talk about the game a little bit itself. So I'm going to bring in sports director Brian Bailey inside the digital studio this afternoon. First of all, Brian, thank you for joining.
Good to be here.
Nice to have you in the digital studio and not just on the anchor desk or back in your little sports corner. But we've got the biggest weekend, well, I like to call it the biggest weekend in sports coming up this weekend, Super Bowl 55 with the Chiefs against the Bucs. What do you think?
Well, it's hard when you look at both teams and how they've got here and what they're all about. I mean, Kansas City is so good, and the defending Super Bowl champs. Mm-hmm. Tampa Bay's been on such a great roll. Brady is Brady. I think that's the big deal that Tom Brady's back in the Super Bowl this time without the Patriots.
Right.
So I think it's going to be a good game, a close game. They played in the regular season. It was a 27-24 game, won by Kansas City. I think we'll see a very similar game. The spread is 3. That spread was 3. Mm-hmm. So I just think it's going to be I think it's going to be an entertaining game because both teams have weapons and have big time weapons. And I think that we're going to see a lot of fireworks. I do think the Tampa Bay defense is really, really good, although they've got some question marks in the secondary. But I think the defensive line is key in this game. They've got to keep Mahomes under wraps. And he can't be running around, scrambling around and finding receivers like he usually does. And, for Tampa Bay, they've got to protect Brady. They've got to keep him upright. If they don't, then it'll be a long day for Tampa.
Okay, so looking at the 2 records, obviously you get to this point and you throw the records out the door pretty much because you are in the big game. The Chiefs are 14-2 on the season and the Bucs 11-5. Do you take that into consideration at all? I know you talked about the regular season game between the 2. Do you look at the records and compare any games and maybe make your predictions of the Super Bowl, who you predict to win from that?
No, I'm always a firm believer when you get to this point, it's the team that's the hottest. The hot team is the one that usually wins the Super Bowl. We've seen the Giants come through there twice when they weren't the best team, but they won 2 Super Bowls. We've seen other teams that they just get on a roll, and Kansas City is just so good, but Tampa Bay is a team that's on the roll right now. So I don't think you look at those losses and say, Tampa Bay, can't play in this game because they've got so many losses and there aren't that many losses. But when you compare to Kansas City, but I just really think we're going to have a really entertaining, close game. Glad CBS has it, and I think it's going to be fun.
So you will be anchoring on Sunday. You're kicking Nolan out. You're in the spotlight. I know we talked a little bit about it during our podcast, so if you guys are listening, tuning in right now, be sure to listen to our podcast. We do have a weekly sports talk podcast every week to break down a lot of the sports news that's going on locally and nationally. But back to the Super Bowl topic, we did give our predictions. I do want to reiterate on here. You can go ahead with your prediction. I know we both were pulling for the Bucs. Our whole sports staff, surprisingly, actually is pulling for the Bucs this year.
Well, I don't know if we're pulling for the Bucs. I think we're picking the Bucs.
Picking the Bucs.
No, it's one of those games. Sometimes you have a team when you're watching. All of us have favorite teams.
Sure.
Our teams aren't there, and sometimes you do pull for one of the. I really was pulling for Kansas City last year because I wanted Mahomes to win a Super Bowl. A lot of times you see a young player like that, and you say, he may never get back there. Now he did, obviously, this year, and he's already won one, and he may be the Brady 10 years from now. We're talking about Mahomes like we do Brady. But, I think in this Super Bowl, it wouldn't surprise me to see either team win. And I think that it's a very even game. And I just look forward to, finally kicking it off because, once this game's over, it's kind of depressing if you're a football fan because football's over for the year unless you're in North Carolina and the high schools get ready to start.
Touchdown Friday.
Yeah, that's just crazy. But
that will be another topic for another time. But I do want to talk a little bit about your favorites for Super Bowl Sunday. I know we talked a little bit about prop bets going in during our podcast. Do you have a favorite prop bet that you think is kind of off the wall that people vote for?
No, I usually look at the prop bets and kind of look around at things that don't make sense to me and go that way, and usually I lose. But like the total sacks, I like to do things like that. And then you're watching the game and you'll see a quarterback scramble around and get back close to the line of scrimmage, and you're like, "Come on, is that a sack or is it not a sack?" Yeah. So I like some of the yardage things. I mean, there's been some crazy, things in the past. In fact, one of the Super Bowls Dallas and Pittsburgh played in, I can't remember back whenever it was, but the spread was it started off at 4.5 and then it ended up at 3.5. And so everybody that ended up being a 4-point game. Mm-hmm. So everybody that bet on it early and everybody that bet on it late all won their bets. And Vegas took a beating on it. Vegas usually doesn't take a beating, though.
Yeah. I love looking at the fun ones of, the coin toss or what color the Gatorade shower will be afterwards. So I think those are the fun ones as well. What, I know we got a little bit off topic. What is your official prediction, your game final score? What do you think?
I can't remember. I know it's close. I know I picked Tampa Bay to win by 3, and I've said I throw numbers out every time somebody asks me. So I think I said something to the effect of, I think it's 27-24 because that was the score the last time these two teams played, but Kansas City won in the regular season. So I'm thinking 27-24.
All right, I'm going 31-27. Bucks come from behind, win it in the fourth quarter. Yeah. We'll see how close we come to that. One final thing before we close it out. Super Bowl Sunday is a big day. Obviously, a lot of sports fans celebrate it as a holiday. Do you have a favorite part of the entire day, whether that be the pregame, halftime, the snacks? Is there anything in the Bailey family that you guys like the best?
And back throughout the years when I was a kid, and then even in the college years in the 90s, early in my career rather, it was always the Cowboys were close to getting in or were in it. They won the 3 in the 90s, and that was always a big deal. I've had a chance to go to 2 Super Bowls, Super Bowl 28 and Super Bowl 38. 28 was Dallas, Buffalo, and Atlanta, and Super Bowl 38 was the Patriots and the Panthers in Houston, Texas. So, those memories are just the difference in those 2 Super Bowls and how security had tightened between the 10 years, and it's just so much fun to be a part of it. Not everybody can say they've been to a Super Bowl, so I think that's a key. That's a big deal for me. Although I may never get a chance to go back to one. As far as the family goes, everybody gets excited about it. We usually get something at the house, and maybe sometimes have some people over. In these COVID times, obviously it'll be a close knit circle. We won't have too many folks over. Sure. Won't have any folks over because we're working. But it's a lot of people have talked about too, and I like the idea. They should move the Super Bowl to Saturday because starting at Sunday night at 6:30.
That's tough.
Yeah. It
Lots of sick days on Monday.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense that, and I think research has shown that it's the least productive day in each year for the American industry because nobody really works because the Super Bowl was the day before. Right. Make it on a Saturday night, and you got all day Sunday to recover. You go back to work on Monday. So
I like that. Well, when I am down in the Super Bowl covering it one day, I'll bring you with me.
You should.
Good.
I hope so.
I'll remember my roots. You're the one who taught me it all, so I'll definitely have you
that would be great.
down there with me. But as far as my favorite part of the Super Bowl, I love the halftime show. Commercials are normally one of my favorite part outside of the game to watch, just to see what crazy, wacky commercials they toss out there. But there are a few that are not going to be airing this year. You know, the Budweiser commercials were always one of my favorites. And then Coke and Pepsi as well won't have some out there.
You know, going back to the what you just said about the halftime shows, I was there in Houston, Super Bowl 38, when the infamous top came down from Janet Jackson. And the funny thing about that is like, I was in the end. I happened to have a field pass, which was incredible to be on the field for a Super Bowl. So I'm standing there at halftime, and I'm kind of watching it. I didn't care about Justin Timberlake, didn't care about Janet Jackson. Just kind of listening to it. It was big time. And then I saw something go up about, and I saw a bunch of people just kind of scurrying around, and I thought, what happened? And then during the game, one of the photographers told me what had happened, and they said one of the photographers said they were right there up in front and got a great shot of it. So,
oh my gosh!
So we all went back to the truck and watched the replay, and it was really and the next day that's all anybody was talking about. They weren't talking about the Super Bowl anymore.
Yeah.
So.
We'll see what happens this year, if any crazy things happen.
So I don't even know the halftime performer. I don't know. I know I've heard some of the songs, but
The Weeknd is the performer this year, but it's a little.
Is he singular, The Weeknd? Is his name Weeknd?
I don't know what his official name is, but I know it's one singer and his group.
The Weeknd.
Yes, The Weeknd, I believe. I don't follow.
I think I've heard some of the songs, though. I have heard that.
Yeah, I definitely. It's like. Nah.
And Luke Combs says he wants to do halftime sometime. I think Luke Combs would be great.
Yeah, I would do that.
Yeah,
I like that.
I think so too.
All right. Well, Brian Bailey, thank you so much for joining us. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be back just after this.
When you're tired, winding down from a long day dealing with... Get the news you need at 11 to finish your day out right.
A lot can happen between 6 and 11, but we've got you covered.
From preparing the most up-to-date forecast in our weather center so you know what to expect in the morning,
to continuing to follow stories that impact you and covering live breaking news.
9 on Your Side at 11 is here for you.
Join us weeknights on 9 on Your Side News at 11.
Finally, the wait is over. Storm Team 9 is here. Our experienced team is keeping you informed and keeping you safe. Depend on Storm Team 9.
Thanks for sticking with us. If you're just now joining, I'm Kelsey O'Donnell right here in the digital studio, providing exclusive coverage of Super Bowl 55 leading up to the big game. What you're looking at right here is Raymond James Stadium, an aerial view outside of the stadium earlier this week. It was all quiet then, but fans are beginning to pour into Tampa. There is a chance of rain early Sunday morning down in Tampa, Florida, but the meteorologists down in that area predict mostly sunny skies around game time. Temperatures in the 70s is what they are expecting, and boy, would that be nice right here in North Carolina this week. But overall, a great atmosphere and temperature-wise for fans who do get to experience Super Bowl 55 down in Tampa, Florida. Speaking of fans, the Kansas City Chiefs and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have quite a following this weekend. But the Chiefs have one fan in particular I want to focus on. 30-year-old Katie Morris likes to critique the Chiefs players' style and their outfits and is getting a lot of attention for it. She created a TikTok page as her way to show support for the team and each individual player's style. Reporter Sheree Honeycutt shares some of her creations.
Katie Morris calls it swagger versus kicker. Each week she breaks down the style of a different NFL team, but of course her favorite is her lifelong team, the Kansas City Chiefs.
It's time yet again for swagger versus kicker with the Chiefs. We're going to look at the swaggy outfits that the team wears and then also what the kicker chose to wear.
Katie Morris started making TikToks during the pandemic.
Because apparently when you're almost 30, that's what you do in 2020 and 2021.
She loves seeing pictures of the Chiefs walking into Arrowhead or walking along the jetway.
This is how you wear a cowboy hat. Sometimes I genuinely think Travis Kelce dresses up like a different character every week. This one is Please Buy My App. It's the new Uber for vegans.
I being sarcastic, and I like picking out outfits, and I love football. So it's just kind of the perfect mix for me.
Her videos have over 500,000 likes and are even getting noticed by some of the players.
Honey Badger knows he looks really good in baby blue, and he's not going to stop wearing it. I'm not going to stop loving it.
Who's got the best swag?
Alex Okafor always has really great outfits. I know that his girlfriend plays a large part in his styling.
And the least?
Probably Andy Reid. The man has many qualities. I do not think swag is one of them.
Morris says while viewers think the videos are funny, she hopes it helps fans get to know the players as people.
I think especially in a sport where you're wearing a helmet, it's really hard to get to know people as individuals.
Katie is working on a swagger versus kicker fashion video for dogs, and she says she also hears from some of the wives of the players to let her know that a fashion win is on the way. Sheree Honeycutt, Fox 4, working for you.
Sheree, thank you. Like we mentioned earlier, Super Bowl 55 is set to kick off at 6:30 p.m. on Sunday on CBS. It's the reigning Super Bowl champs, the Kansas City Chiefs, against the home Tampa Bay Buccaneers. If you can't catch the game, don't stress out. We'll have the official game highlights starting at 10 p.m. on the CW, as well as at 11 p.m. on WNCT with sports director Brian Bailey during our sportscast. This will wrap up our WNCT Now special edition of Super Bowl 55 coverage. I'm Kelsey O'Donnell here in the digital studio. Thanks so much for tuning in.